Welcome to New Realities. We are doing a live stream with my friend Dan Ryan, and this is a preparation for a two-part stream we're doing. The first part will talk about hypnosis. Dan is going to regress me back to my alien abduction that happened in 1986. But before we get there, I'm a little nervous about being regressed on camera in front of a live world audience. We'll talk about hypnosis, what that means. So, I think I had, just so audiences know, in 1987, I was traveling cross country, and me and my girlfriend, we stopped by this deserted sort of canal. I think it was like North Latin Nebraska. We were going from the West Coast to the East Coast, and we were just really tired. And we just pulled off the side of the road and went down this little, it's like canals. It said, enter at your own risk. So should have warned us. But
yeah, there was your warning, right?
That was it. They said that because the canals flood during certain seasons. But anyway, we're just really tired. We stopped, we went to sleep, and it was like we were frozen. I felt like we were frozen. We both said that. Didn't you feel like? And then we just left because there was something really weird and eerie about that place. I get back to New York, and there's a mark on the back of my leg, a 4-pronged puncture mark. This is 1987, and this woman who was working with Bud Hopkins actually said, no, that's abduction scar or mark. I said, no, because I wasn't totally into the ET stuff at that point. But what I'm talking to you about now is I don't remember anything from that event 30-something years ago, and you're going to regress me so I do remember it, right? Or how do you know I'm not making it up or talk about your...
How do we know you're not making it up, Alan? That's
right. But talk about your work.
Of course. I'm a therapist. I'm the co-director at the Center for Integrative Hypnosis here in New York City, founded by Melissa Tiers, my friend and mentor. I've been in private practice now since about 2011. Mm-hmm. My father, Jeffrey Ryan, was a hypnotherapist, specialized in past life regression, and for a time was the president of the Association for Past Life Research and Therapies. Mm-hmm. So, working here in New York City, it being the year 2019 now, and all of us, having so many relationships with our devices and everything else, anxiety relief more than anything else is what I do in my office.
Okay.
Present-based hypnotherapy for stress relief, anxiety relief, symptoms of depression, and hypnosis as a subject, having nearly 200 years of bad PR around it, there is a ton of misunderstanding and communication misconception, of course. The best understanding of how hypnotherapy takes place in our offices a couple blocks north from here is as a brain training in the positive psychology of how one wants to feel during performance, work, rest, or play.
So you basically hypnotize people to feel good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay.
In so many words, yes, that's very accurate.
Okay. Now with trauma, if that's what we want to call it, I mean, it's obviously there's a reason I didn't remember this.
So with trauma, which of course is a different subject, a sensitive subject, hypnotherapy is a very effective treatment for various cases of PTSD or various forms in which trauma can emerge, rise, stay with us, etc. Every case is unique. Again, referencing that bad PR again. Hypnosis is not a panacea. There's no universal prescription or anything like that. So, stripping away a lot of that misconception first, the way hypnosis helps people work past trauma and the way it relates to what we're going to be doing today is by really through an emotional bridge more than anything else, because there's a very important conversation to have about the nature of memory too, and the way we carry this experience. And of course, I defer to you as the expert on your experience at all times, Alan. I'm the expert in hypnosis, but you
I know but I didn't have a conscious experience.
I understand.
But something happened because I had this scar mark on the back of the leg. So that was proof that something had happened, and I suspected something had happened. But obviously, because I didn't remember, lots of people don't remember their experience. Either it's the ETs blocking it or their subconscious mind saying, this is too weird. And so what's going to be different when I remember or go back to that time now that won't freak me out?
That's a great question.
Thanks. Thanks for your confidence. No, well,
it is, man. How can I possibly know? And here's what I will say. Here's what I will say, though. through the course of this conversation, and every conversation we've had leading up to this too, and there was something that you mentioned a moment ago, again, as it relates to memory and trauma that I want to come back to. I'm going to do everything in my power to get you the best information possible in the safest way possible.
Okay.
Another thing important to talk about that is, I think, kind of built into the bad PR of hypnosis again at this point, is the subject of re-traumatization.
Right. We don't want to do that.
We don't want to do that. And I would suggest that that's unnecessary as well in the process. And there's even a quotation from the book Communion, Whitley Strieber's book, which you shared with me.
That is the pace setter for this whole experience. I mean, there's lots of other great books, but I think Whitley experience of remembering being traumatized and sort of working through it.
Yeah. Now he mentions even this quote that I kind of chuckled at when I read it, where he said that, I'm paraphrasing now, but he says, Bud Hopkins told me that most first sessions of hypnosis are traumatic.
What are you going to do? I mean, this will be a series of my traumatic regression.
Now, here's the thing. I don't know if you have Bud Hopkins on speed dial, but I feel like he may have just been saying that to comfort the person who
had that would be more no longer. But I did know Bud. He was a great guy. I did. Bud was a really. So maybe. So you're saying it might be a little traumatic when we go back to the point of regression?
No, what I'm saying, in fact, is, again, remembering the context, particularly we're talking about, was published in, which is the mid to late 80s.
Right.
My dad, referencing my dear old father again once more, a member of the baby boomers, the way that he offered hypnotherapy and regression therapy in our small town, 50 miles from there, was oftentimes through experience, guiding people through experiences compassionately of whatever traumatic event they were perceiving as the source or origin point of whatever they were struggling with. This method was extremely popular. This whole idea, I would go so far as to say, was popular in the 70s to 80s.
Which are you talking about?
Re-traumatization and reactivating trauma as a way of getting beyond trauma.
Oh, so you're saying
No, stay with me. This was popular and popularized by baby boomers, I believe, because they were born into a generation that was deeply repressed and needed to express themselves, and we're not talking about the experiences they were having and needed outlets to do so.
I get you.
I believe that this world is the opposite of that. Most of us talk too much. We have too much political information. We're distracted by the amount of distraction, and that there's a more focused need now, and ultimately that re-traumatization is not necessary.
Okay, well,
that's what I'm getting to.
I'm glad you finally got there. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to finish up this little episode here, and we're going to take a little break. I'm going to reposition, and you're going to put me into a mild altered state or trance, or what will you do actually?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to hypnotize you, which mechanically...
That sounds so scary when you say that. Yes, it really does.
Yeah, I know.
I know it's
a silly response, brother, because again, mechanically what we're about to do is basically no different than a guided meditation.
So you're going to, can we just call it that?
If you'd like, sure.
And then you're going to bring me back to that moment, but I might not go to that moment, right?
I will put you in a state, a liminal place, hopefully dependent upon you, between asleep and awake, where you're able to access information that you may not otherwise consciously. We're not going, quote unquote, back anywhere. In fact, we'll be.
But when you do past lives, and this is part of your big work, how do you know people aren't fabricating, making up, imagining?
Well, regression therapy and past life regression, what I do not use as a way of proving or disproving the afterlife. It's a therapeutic mode more than anything else. Okay. And then besides that, I defer to the people I work with as the expert on themselves. So for instance, I'm not going to tell you what is or is not a valid memory or invalid or whatever. Okay. I defer to you as the expert, really. And you tell us.
We'll see what we get.
See.
Anything else you want to say before we go?
There's
a lot to say.
I suppose we should continue.
Okay, so we're going to cut here. I mean, not yet, but then in like, how long will it take us to reset up?
Maybe 5 to 10 minutes. One thing is, if you speak to the camera, just speak to the camera this
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take a little 5-10 minute break. We're going to reposition the cameras. We're going to get set up, and then I'm going to go on under.
So we're going to pause that, or you?
We're just gonna take a break. Okay, how many people listen to this? Good, okay, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you very much.
Stay with us, take a little break before we go to the actual regression. We will be back. Alan Steinfeld and Dan Ryan, thank you.